what I want to do next is we'll talk about the definition of human freedom. Now, there are basically three kinds of three definitions of human freedom: the philosophical, the social, and the practical. Um, the philosophical definition traces back to Aristotle, and his idea is, as you would imagine, very philosophical. It is the following: freedom or autonomy. Autonomy means the ability to give rule to yourself, means precisely that, the ability to determine for yourself what it is you want or don't want. Now, for Aristotle, this ability to give purpose to yourself exists between two extremes. On the one side, there is the extreme of slavery. That is where somebody else is giving you your purpose, giving you your determination, is giving you the rules that define what you must do. That's slavery. Then on the other side, at the other extreme, we can imagine an existence with no rules, one where there was no purpose, no guidance, one where existence was almost random. Aristotle makes the point that neither of these extremes are free. If you are a slave, or if there are no rules, at both those extremes you have no freedom. In order to be truly autonomous, it's necessary for there to be rules. There must be purposes that guide your existence. But in order to avoid randomness, you must give those rules to yourself. So that's how Aristotle makes this theoretical point about what autonomy is. It's the ability to give rules to yourself. Now, this philosophical definition is a little different from a social definition. This traces back perhaps to John Locke. What John Locke wanted to say was, look, freedom means that you can do whatever you want up until the point where the things that you are freely doing interfere with the freedom of others to do what they want to freely do. So I have this example here for Locke, or for this definition of autonomy. You can drink whatever you want to drink, any amount of alcohol, and you can drink as much as you like it at any moment. Right? And you're free to do that. But what you are not free to do within this definition is drink all this alcohol and then go drive in your car. Because if you're driving in your car, you're likely to run into somebody else, and that takes away their ability to do the things that they want to do. So, this more social definition of freedom defines human autonomy as me or you in a world of others. And the idea is basically, again, we can do what we want up until the point where what we want to do conflicts with what others want to do. So here, freedom is about liberty and the constraints that the fact of others in the world impose upon us. Uh, then there's a kind of a practical definition of freedom too. And all of these definitions, they sit on top of each other and they work together. They address different kinds of dilemmas and questions about human autonomy. Um, depending upon the question, you might want to use one or another definition. Here, the practical definition is that initially you are physically free. That is, you are not in handcuffs, or as I show in this graphic here, I mean, in some sense, a sunflower is physically free. It turns as the sun moves, right, to keep facing the sun. So there's a kind of freedom there, a kind of unboundedness that may give someone autonomy. But for humans, that's of course not enough for freedom. We also need to be informationally free. That means in order for me to do things in the world, let's say that I want to do this seminar online, uh, I need to have certain information. I need to know what the seminar is supposed to be about. I am not free to give a seminar if I don't know what the subject is, right? So in order to act freely in the world, we need not only to be unconstrained, we also need a certain kind of informational freedom, which is knowledge about what the expectations are, what exists in the world, what this seminar is about in this particular case. And then finally, there's a psychological or intentional kind of freedom also. Um, and this is basically the freedom to not have your mind confused by things like drugs or other sorts of inabilities that we can imagine. Um, so, as opposed to informational freedom, which is the knowledge about what's going on around us, psychological freedom is just the ability to process that knowledge, that information, to make sense of the world. So, in sum, the practical definition of freedom is that in order to be free, we need to be unconstrained. We need to know basic things about the world around us, and we need to have our common sense about us. So, what we have done now is we have built up an idea of the experience of human freedom, and we have walked through the definition of human freedom, which in this case is a tripartite definition. There's the philosophical sense, the social sense of John Locke, and then the practical sense of being unbound, um, having information, and being psychologically healthy.